women are more willing to do this. But this is something that you said before. If we put Cancer on the ascendant representing women, Aries is in the 10th house, you're going to see us fighting.
Like, let's talk about these modern women.
Yes. Like, oh, I'm sorry. As a modern woman and who grew up in a society where it was like, no, you can be educated. You don't have to be, a housewife. You can have dreams, goals, and aspirations that are outside of the home sphere. But y'all don't talk about how y'all are modernized. Y'all don't really go off the war.
Right. Exactly. You're not being drafted to the war. Your whole community ain't got to go down to the harbor to build the ship. Like,
sir, do you know that, like, you probably had to build your wife a house to live in? Like, I don't know how many other years ago. You're not doing that.
I don't think the world has ever been equal. I'm not saying that women should completely and utterly be slaves. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the modern society we live in has been built by men. All the roads you see, all the buildings you see, everything around you, men built. All of it. When women come along and say, oh, we're just as important, you are just as important, but you had a completely different role. You fulfilled a different role in society. And I think now, if you look at the roles of society, I believe men are still doing their job, but I don't know if women are doing their job. Women's job always was procreation, to look after the family and to look after the man. That's all that they had to do. And the man would go out there and risk his life and spend his time building the modern world. Men are still out here building the modern world. But when they come home now, the girl's like, oh, why should I cook for you? I think women are failing in their role. I think women are failing.
On a traditional woman, you got to create a traditional environment. There's so many dudes that expect a woman to go to work 40 hours a week, come home, clean up the whole house, cook a meal, take care of the kids, put the kids to bed, have porn star sex with them, and pay half of the bills. That's not realistic. Traditionally, man paid all the bills and the woman stayed home and took care of the house. So if you don't make enough money to create that type of infrastructure, then you cannot claim to want a traditional woman because you are not a traditional man. You gotta go both ways. Like, you can't have tradition when it's convenient for you to. Like, yeah, I want to go half on the, bills and all of that, but I still need you cooking, cleaning, and doing everything, that a traditional woman is supposed to do. Meanwhile, I'm not providing like a traditional man did. That makes zero sense. But so many men in this area expect that.
This is what's wrong with that extreme and that polarization too, because I'm sure both of us could find examples of women behaving in certain ways that we would find repulsive.
Right.
And we're women.
Right.
These sides act as if you can't really, if you're on the manosphere side, I can't criticize men. Because we're supposed to be criticizing women. If I'm on the pink pill side, we can't criticize other women unless women are more willing to do this. But this is something that you said before. If we put Cancer on the ascendant representing women, Aries is in the 10th house, you're going to see us fighting. They will call women, the pick-me's and the different things. And some men do call out what they call simps and stuff like that, but I think there's a different air to it because most of the men that I hear calling other men simps, nobody wants them. Like,
what would you do if your friends were liking my pictures?
I don't associate with men that can't attract women. All my friends are good with women. And there's a bunch of reasons for this, but you can't hang out with simps. You can't have friends that are thirsty for women.
Yeah, simps mess everything up, but it makes it better for guys like us, man. We just come in and it is what it is. We clean up.
Anytime a woman is the focal of a man's life, it's a problem. No. 100%. And the only way a man can give a woman the best life is when she's not the focus.
I don't think so.
Well, that's easy for you to say as a woman.
See, most people don't go for help for narcissism. They don't even realize they have narcissistic tendencies. That is a mental health issue. It is expanding. It is becoming even more prevalent in women than it was before. But it's one of the many issues that people don't address
and appropriately. It's being rewarded.
Yes, it is being rewarded. Matter of fact, that doctor that I follow, where I feel like I've been in college for like 9 years, that I've been watching his YouTube video every day. I'm like, I gotta listen to this lecture while I'm getting other stuff done. You think I'm getting a grade. He was talking about how essentially we're at a point of no return for narcissism and personality disorders, and that he's scared for the world. Like, he's literally like,
privacy is the opposite of narcissism. It's the opposite of narcissism because narcissists do not have a private life. Narcissists have only a public life. Everything that happens to them within doors, they immediately publicize. They immediately let other people know. They share, then they overshare, then they share the oversharing. And they do this because they consider themselves to be mini celebrities. Every single narcissist alive, and many dead narcissists, consider their lives to be cosmic sagas, the equivalent of Game of Thrones. They think everyone and his dog should be fascinated, amazed, captivated by the story, the unfolding story of their biography. So narcissists immediately place online, social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, every single thing that happens to them. What they had eaten that morning, what had happened to Fufi, the cat, and what happened to Choo Choo, the dog. The events in their children's lives, what kind of sex they had with the wife last night, or with the husband, if it's a narcissistic woman. Narcissists are out there. They're naked. There is no barrier, separation, or firewall between what happens to them with their nearest and dearest, with their intimate partners, with business colleagues and associates, with co-workers. There's no barrier separating these happenings, which should remain confidential and discreet. There's no barrier between this and the public realm.
well, since y'all wanted to set certain things up like social media to reward people for their narcissism, he even was talking about how many movies and television shows are written from narcissistic perspectives, like how relationships are set up to be that there has to be some sort of triangulation or difficulty. Not to say that relationships are just smooth, but it's even embedded in what we watch in movies and things like that. Like, he's like, these are narcissistic perspectives. Y'all are not understanding that, like, and then people watch these movies and they go, that's how love is supposed to be.
The trend line upwards for narcissists?
I think we're at the tipping point. On the one hand, we will have pathological narcissism, diagnosable, treatable, and on the other hand, we will have socially condoned, accepted, and encouraged type of narcissism, including values such as ambition and drive and ruthlessness and lack of empathy and so on. And these behavior patterns will be rewarded by society. So it will pay to be a narcissist. Crime pays, narcissism pays.
And this is being fanned by social media?
I think it's quite the opposite, actually. I think it was the rising wave of narcissism that led to the development of social media.
Does that scare you or delight you that you may have many thousands more narcissistic brothers and sisters soon?
Narcissists are absolutely the stuff horror movies are made of. They are ominous. They are self-destructive. They are self-defeating. You can't build anything solid on a narcissistic society and collective.
50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a bunch of that going, and it's like, no, honey, that's not how it's supposed to go. So we're dealing with that issue, and I don't know how much reeled in that particular thing will get during Saturn and Pisces, but I really hope there's on some mental health issues, like, and I mean, seriousness taken to it, and things actually done, because there's a bunch of people with podcasts that should not have podcasts, because all they're doing is riling up other mentally ill people.
Yes.
And posting themselves as an authority, and their life typically does not reflect it.
So did Derek Jackson really cheat on his wife with 100 different women? Oh, he made a list. of women to everything that he could recollect, and there was nearly 100 women on there. And so
You're talking about the 100. Where you going back
that he
to?
wrote on the list. Janét Jackson is done getting clowned and mocked because she got dumped by Derek last year, and she is out for blood. She's now spilling a lot of tea about the type of person Derek really is, and she is exposing him for being the biggest narcissist ever.
I'm sorry. I'm going to preach to you how your relationship should be, but I can't effectively do that thing in my own life.
Right.
Like, even the guy I was just saying that makes the videos about when you have a bad woman, he's getting, his name is Donovan something, I think. He came under fire because he said, if you settle down with a woman past the age of like 23 years old, she's already hit the wall, you're getting leftovers, shame on you. And God forbid she have a kid. You don't want your audience to know that you don't follow your own rules.
Wow. Yeah. And a couple of things. One, I always hate that term that you're getting someone's leftovers, because it really, just be honest. It's not leftovers. And I don't like the covertness of using certain terms or certain catchphrases like you're getting someone's leftovers. You are just upset that you don't have a virgin. That's the overall thing. Because what is really left over about a woman that you find if she's in her 30s or she's in her late 20s, she has a good career, she can afford things, she can actually help you build, she can pour into you, she can still get you the things that you need. You know, you guys can still work together and be happy, you get along, you can have good conversations, you can laugh, you can write a fucking book together. It's like normal fucking relationships. What about that is a leftover? If it's something that you can use that is useful, that can help to elevate the lives of you and her, even if she had previous children, or if you continue to have, or you have previous children, the idea that a relationship isn't two people coming that agree to work together and share in what they have so that they can continue to grow. What idea about that is a leftover? Be real, bruh. The only thing that you're complaining about is that you want a virgin, but you know how weird that sounds, really. And the fact that you know how weird that sounds, you have to use words like leftover or old maid or ran through or all that. What you're saying is I don't get to fuck a virgin, and you don't want to say it. Because if that were the whole basis and premise of your whole outcry, your whole shit would fall apart. Dead ass. So that's just that idea.
But hold on a second. Why are you holding purity at high regard when you're out here beating every chick?
So the reason is because
really men
and women are different, and that's the thing. Like, if a girl has had sex with one person, they're a virgin, she has an 80% chance of a happy marriage. If she slept with more than 5, it goes down to 25% chance of 10 years having a happy marriage. So it's less valuable to a man. Where like a dude, the number one best is if they're both virgins. But if you take that off the table, like men's marital happiness increases like from 5 to 8 partners, where they're more happy with the girl, because we bond more during sex. I mean, that's why we have terms like dickmatized.
and can we be honest? Women do want a man with sexual experience. Let's just be honest. That's why it's different. Women do not want a man, especially when it's time to get to that sexual place. They don't want a man that they've got to teach. They would prefer to be taught by a man. But a woman doesn't want a man with no sexual experience. He wants to have a man that doesn't know what he's doing in his bedroom.
The other idea is the fact that when we look at how we said we're looking at the chart and we can become apathetic, or we're looking at these extremes that are happening, most especially because Pluto is at the anaretic degree. We talk about these extremes and there not being restrictions for them, which is the Capricorn, that's something that's been missing, is that everything is okay in moderation. Even your attitude.
Yeah.
Your projection can be in moderation. It was a discussion that I had with Ra, being a Scorpio rising with Pluto at the ascendant. I had a tendency when I was younger to point out everyone's motives. Now, I know that doesn't sound like that's a bad thing, right? But it is a bad thing when someone was not ready to reveal what their actual motives were. And here comes this young woman who's just like, this what you really want. This how you really are. And be dead ass right about it. Because I'm picking up and, I look at little nuances, and that's just my investigative mind. I'm trying to figure out, why you're acting this. So then I'm coming out and going, this how you really feel. And this motherfucker's going, bitch. You just gonna look at me without my clothes on?
Seeing me all naked and shit. I didn't agree to this.
Right. And I didn't understand the resentment that I kept getting from doing that. I was literally invading people's personal bubbles. I was just jumping in, explaining their whole life in the open and going right to the nitty gritty with no permission and no Vaseline. So
peering under people's surface, like
right, just straight penetrating, raw dogging, hard as hell. Okay. And people, I started getting resentment, and I'm all like, what? We just being authentic. We being real in moderation, bitch. Like, you're doing it to everybody and you're doing it too much. So I had to learn, one, to be invited to do so in appropriate settings to do so. It didn't mean that I had to cut off who I was. I just had to tone it down a bit. You know what I mean? So when it comes to going back to sexual revolutions and being authentic and living out in your own, not as a wild animal, bruh. Like, people are just coming out and just straight bare ass in life. You know, like, you're not going to catch diseases, or you're not going to get hurt, or that you're not dealing with other people who are going to push back about, and you're sitting there going, why is everybody treating me this way? I'm living authentically. Yes, in a world of other people, 7 billion of them to be exact. You are not in this alone. And I think people keep forgetting, like I said, they keep thinking, oh, we're fighting for justice. We're fighting for justice. And they completely ignore that so are these people as their belief is going. Yes. And one of the things about even being a great debater was to understand both sides of the realm. You know, one of the things I believe that I think we had this conversation on one of the podcasts where we were talking about telling people, go look at the opposite side. If you're biased on this point, go look on the other end so you can see what they're saying, because you're making arguments and your point's not getting across because you're not speaking the same language. You don't even know what language to speak.
Exactly.
I'm an extreme centrist. You try to force your views on me and not have a nuanced conversation about these very important topics. I can't speak to you because you're blinded by your ignorance. I'm a fucking centrist. Leave me alone. All your views are that way? That's ridiculous. I can't believe you think that way. Most of us have pretty moderate opinions on politics. You know, like when you say like, oh, I don't really choose a side, then they act like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. You don't fully agree with me. And they start to treat you like the other side. Me and Adam chose extreme aggressive centrist. Are you fucking serious? You don't have like middle views? Do you know how fucked up that is, that you don't have any type of discretion on any topic? It's either right or left. That's really fucked up, and I can't believe you think like that.
Donkey.
So
there's
extreme,
that way. So you're right. They echo chambers people like.
Right. And all of this, and they wonder why it implodes, and they're turning around going, how is all of this shit fucked up? 1, because you lived in a bubble. 2, because you didn't live in moderation. 3, because you lived in an ideal fantasy world that you thought that you could make heaven on earth and it was going to be heaven for everybody, but your idea of heaven is hell to someone else. Like most of the things these people want that I hear on these podcasts, I don't want none of that shit.
Most guys will stay in the relationship with the girl, even though they're miserable, because they know if they divorce her, especially if they're a breadwinner, you're going to lose half of your assets. You're going to lose your children. You're going to have to pay her alimony. So most guys are not going to leave their girl.
Why do you pay alimony?
You have to keep her lifestyle at a certain level when you were together.
No, it's because she's forgoing her whole career in order to do the children thing. So when you leave, the reason why you pay alimony is to compensate her for the fact that she's thrown her life away on the family that you just walked out on. But as a man, as you age, you're a 35-year-old dude, you got kids, nobody gives a f. You got kids in that moment, nobody cares. You're still fine. And not only that, but you had a woman take care of your kids the whole time, you can build your whole career. You don't lose anything. If you walk out of a relationship and you're both 32 years old, the woman has 2 kids, it's right. You can let, how many people knows a girl who had a baby daddy walk out on her and never pay child support to someone? Right? Also, you're talking about splitting assets, breadwinner, all that shit. People making $45K a year aren't thinking about this shit. People making $35K a year are like losing their $2 million nest egg at 27 when they leave their baby mama. A lot of these women don't even go to court. A lot of them don't even get married, right?
I don't want and it is crazy as liberated as I would say that I am in my expression and being able to be myself. I like my little nuclear family. I love being the boss woman of my house with my man. I like to sit there and go, look, I have too much on my plate. What should we do? Here go all the information. Tell me how we should sift through this. I like my children being homeschooled. I like to have a set schedule. I like to live in my home with my small group of friends, my small. That's the life I like to live. That is almost halfway traditional. I just like to be able to have the option to go outside. That's how I look at it. I like to stay in the house with the option to go outside.
I like that option.
Right. So a lot of the things that people want where they think that would just be heaven, I am reeling over here going, please, God, don't make no legislation that forces me to give up my nuclear family and leave in the house.
Can you imagine? And people don't think about that because they're so focused in on what is ideal for them. You know what I mean?
I just think if you truly respect the guy you're with, like, you wouldn't want to do anything that would make him look bad. And it makes a guy like as a woman, you want to make your man look good. Like that's your job. And so when you're dressing like a hoe, going out with your hoe friends to the club where they're all hooking up with guys, and then you're saying, oh, they're all doing it, but not me. I promise I won't flirt with anyone, but I'm going to the one place where we're bound to get hit on. It's like you look bad as a girl and you make him look bad.
I totally disagree with that. Yeah, actually, I think it's a stretch. So I like when my girl dresses
exactly
like, so fine, and I actually like when she goes in a public place and all the men trying to hit on.
Yeah.
All the men. It doesn't bother. I'm a very confident man. I love that. Go try to talk to my girl. Oh, she doesn't want to talk to you.
Oh, wow.
Cause what? Cause she's with me. Oh, wait, you tried though. But you tried.
Nice try. But also, oh wait, you tried to get my girl. She said no, and you gave her free drinks.
Oh,
wow!
And guess what? I'm drinking
it. And they think that's ideal for everyone. Like even when you post something on social media that, okay, it resonated. I hate that word now. Ever since you made me hate it, but it resonated with you. And you post it, and then someone comes up, and I didn't say it was applicable to everyone. I was not trying to ascribe it to the entire world. There should be some understanding that what's good for you or what lines up for you isn't necessarily good for everyone. I mean, there are some things we all need air. we need water, but like to tell someone, like for instance, if someone were to say to you, Marie, I need to free you. And you'd be like, the fuck are you talking about? Marie, I need to free you. You need to be freed from the shackles and the chains of being in the house with them kids. Don't you want to send them away?
No, the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, pardon me. I like that in the moment.
They'd be like, oh no, why is you doing any traditional woman stuff? Don't you know you's free? And it's like, this goes back into something we talked about with voting. Like when people would be like, your ancestors fought for your right to vote. And you're like, yeah, my right to or not to. Like, I don't have to. It's an option.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Astro G Ladies Roundtable, where we discuss astrology and current events and everything in a practical manner so that you can better understand how to see astrological concepts and astrology at play in everyday life. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when we post a new video. Peace.